A 155-pound Cane Corso was surrendered to a shelter outside Sacramento, California at 3 years old because, they said, he did not listen. He ignored his name. He never came when called. He seemed, they complained, to live in a world of his own, and after 12 months of a dog who acted like he could not hear them, they gave him up. He sat in that shelter for 88 days, a big, silent dog who watched everything and responded to nothing, passed over by 24 families in 88 days, all wanting a dog that came when called. He was 3 years old, 155 pounds, and had spent 12 months in the one home that decided he was defective. Then a woman who lived in a world of her own silence walked in and understood him in a way none of them ever had. And 9 months later, a camera in a hallway recorded the reason a dog like that would not let that woman face one bad night alone, and it was the reason she is alive. Maya Restrepo was 31 and had been profoundly deaf since a fever at 4 years old. 27 years of silence, and she had built a good life inside her silence, but it was, in the ways that mattered most, a life she lived alone. She had learned long ago that the hearing world was not built for her, that it would ask her to adapt and rarely bend toward her, and she had made peace with that, the way you make peace with weather. At 31, she had a job she could do, an apartment she kept neat, and a quiet that had always been hers, all 27 years since the fever at 4 took her hearing. But she lived alone, and being deaf and alone carries a vulnerability hearing people rarely think about, the small 3 a.m. terrors of a person who cannot hear a smoke alarm, cannot hear a knock, cannot hear the sounds that warn everyone else that something in the dark has gone wrong. She had the special alarms, the 3 of them, the ones that flashed lights and shook the bed with a vibrating pad beneath the mattress. But technology fails, and Maya knew it, and there were nights she lay awake at 3 a.m., wondering what she would miss, whether the flashing light would wake her, whether the shaking pad still worked, whether the one night something went wrong would be the night it all failed. It was a specific loneliness, lying in a silence so complete you cannot trust it to warn you. I still see you haven't subscribed. Zeus was given up for a flaw that turned out to be the reason he could save a life, and in a minute, you'll see how. Tap subscribe first. She was not looking for a dog. She had gone to the shelter outside Sacramento to help a friend choose a puppy, and while the friend looked at the small dogs, Maya wandered to the back, where a massive Cane Corso sat alone in a kennel, watching her approach with steady, intelligent eyes. He did not bark, he did not throw himself at the gate the way the other dogs did, he simply watched her, and there was something in the quality of that watching, the total, silent attention of him, that stopped her in the aisle. A volunteer signed to her, seeing she was deaf, and explained Zeus's story, surrendered for not listening, for ignoring commands, for living like the human world could not reach him. And Maya looked at the big silent dog, and something turned over in her chest, because she knew exactly what it was to be called broken for living inside a silence others could not enter. She knelt down. The dog came to the gate and looked at her, really looked at her, and she signed a word to him without thinking. Hello, the way she would to anyone, her hands moving in the only language that had ever felt like home. And the dog tilted his head and watched her hands. His name, the card said, was Zeus. Maya took Zeus home, and the two of them, the deaf woman and the dog who ignored the sound of his own name, understood each other from the first day. Here is the thing the family never realized. Zeus was not deaf, and he was not stupid. Zeus was extraordinarily attentive, but had never bonded to a household that communicated by shouting his name across rooms, because sound meant nothing in the way they used it. Maya did not use sound. Maya used her hands, her eyes, the taps and gestures and vibrations of a life built without hearing. And Zeus, watching her the way he watched everything, learned her language in 3 weeks, faster than he had ever learned theirs, because for the first time, someone spoke to him in a way that asked him to watch instead of listen. Within 3 weeks, Zeus had appointed himself Maya's ears. No one trained him for a single day. Zeus simply understood what she needed. When someone knocked, Zeus went to her, pressed his head against her leg, and led her to the door. When her phone buzzed in another room, Zeus brought it to her, carrying it carefully in his enormous mouth. When the stove timer went off, Zeus was there, nudging her toward the kitchen. When a sound happened in the apartment that Maya could not hear, Zeus was there, telling her with his body that the silent world had made a noise. Zeus became the thing that stood between Maya and everything she could not hear coming.
And Maya, who had lain awake so many nights afraid of what she would miss, began, for the first time in her adult life, to sleep. If you have ever been understood by someone who spoke your language when no one else would, you already know what this felt like. The months passed, and Maya's careful, solitary life filled up with a giant gray presence that changed everything. For 9 months, Zeus went everywhere with her. People on the street who crossed away from the 155-pound dog slowly learned that he was her service animal, her ears, the reason she could move through a hearing world with a new kind of safety. She trusted him completely. She had built her whole life around the things her silence could not warn her about. And now there was 155 pounds of Zeus who could hear all of it, 24 hours a day, standing watch. She did not know that the very thing she had always feared most was about to happen on an ordinary night while she slept.
It happened in the deep quiet of February night. Somewhere in the building, a 40-year-old heating system was failing, and carbon monoxide, silent and odorless and invisible, had begun to seep into Maya's apartment sometime after 1 a.m. while she slept. She had a detector. It was screaming into the darkness, a piercing alarm that filled the apartment, the sound that was designed to save her life. But Maya could not hear it. She slept on in her silence as the 85-decibel alarm shrieked and the air turned poison around her. The exact nightmare she had lain awake fearing, a warning sounding for a woman who could not hear a warning. And Zeus did the thing that saved her. The hallway camera, the one Maya kept because she could not hear anyone approaching her door, caught the whole thing. It shows the apartment dark and still at 2 a.m., the alarm light flashing. It shows Zeus, who could hear the shriek of that detector that his deaf owner could not, come off the floor. Zeus went to Maya's bed and pushed at her, hard, but she was already growing sluggish from the gas, and she did not wake. So Zeus did more. He climbed onto the bed, all 155 pounds of him, pulled at her arm with his mouth, pressed his whole weight against her, and would not stop for 2 full minutes, until her eyes opened, until she understood from the frantic body of her dog that something was terribly wrong. Maya could not hear the alarm, but she could feel Zeus telling her with everything he had to get up, get out, now. She grabbed the leash and they went out into the hall. And Maya, dizzy and confused but out of the poison air, pounded on all 8 doors on her floor at 2 a.m. And the building of 40 units was evacuated, and the fire department found carbon monoxide in her apartment at 400 parts per million, roughly 10 times a safe level, more than enough to have killed her before morning. A hearing person would have woken to the alarm in seconds. Maya woke to a dog. She woke because 155 pounds of Cane Corso, surrendered after 12 months for not listening, had heard the one sound that mattered and refused to let his deaf owner sleep through it. The same 155-pound Cane Corso that 24 families walked past. The same dog given up after 12 months as untrainable, unreachable, a dog who would not listen, the one nobody wanted. The same dog with the steady, watching eyes. He was not broken, and he was not stupid. He had spent his whole life waiting for someone who did not need him to listen, only to watch. And the first time he found her, a woman living alone in a silence that could not hear the alarms meant to save her, he became the ears she did not have. And on the worst night of all, he heard the danger she could not, and would not let her face it alone. Maya told their story, in her own way, to a community of thousands of deaf and hard-of-hearing people, and it spread far past Sacramento because so many people understood both sides of it, the loneliness of a silence and the miracle of being finally understood after 27 years. The shelter was flooded with people asking about the difficult dogs, the ones labeled untrainable, the ones who did not fit a hearing household. 6 dogs that had been given up as unmanageable, all of them over 100 pounds, found homes in the 3 weeks after it spread. Today, 4 years on, Maya is well and safe and no longer lies awake afraid of what she cannot hear because a giant gray dog is always listening for her. Zeus is 6 now, gray coming into the muzzle, slower, and Maya knows what that will mean someday, and she treasures every single day. And every night, a 155-pound Cane Corso still sleeps beside a woman he was surrendered for failing to hear, still lifts his head at every sound in the dark that she will never know is
there, still refuses to let her face a single bad night alone. Because as far as Zeus is concerned, being the ears of the one person who ever understood his silence is the whole reason he was saved. We look at a dog who does not do what we ask, and we decide he is broken, and we give him up. We never once ask whether he is simply waiting for a person who speaks his language, a person who needs exactly what he is, instead of exactly what we wanted. Sometimes the dog nobody wanted was only ever listening for the one voice he was meant to answer. So tell me, did Maya rescue Zeus, or did two souls the world called broken finally understand each other and save a life? Drop your answer in the comments, and if a dog ever became the sense you did not have, say his name below.